Certainly, we have two extreme great panelists with us. So today, our conversation is going to be around partnership of India and EU and how that's going to shape the world growth story and the new trend, what we can see from here on. Why I'm saying because both market, both region, India and EU put together, have roughly around 1/5 of the global GDP, 1/5 of the global trade, and a quarter of a global population. So look at the size, and if they decide to do together, they have really good potential to change the global order. Leading to this FTA agreement, what we signed early this year, if you see that we monitor global inquiry data, we looked at all the global companies, how they are basically inquiring on India, and that shows a clear shift towards what we call in India interest. Because all the 100 companies, in terms of the percentage, 100% companies who inquire from the global market in India, in 2024, the 7% of those companies used to from EU market. In 2025, that 7% have become a 33%. Can you believe that just 1 year, in fact, FTA was not agreed upon before that data till December 2025, that 7% has become 33%, which means more and more European companies are inquiring about Indian companies to be partners, to get into the partnership in terms of supply chain, because India is not just big consumer market, it's also production hub. So anyways, and today we are going to discuss about all these things with two esteemed panelists. And there are unwritten rules and guidelines that moderator should speak less. Sorry, I've broken the rule. And now I'll ensure and promise that I will speak less. Now I'll move to our two esteemed panelists and certainly ask them that what are their perspective and what they feel going forward. Now, moving on, I think we have, as got introduced, Dr. Renu with us, faculty designated consultant research information system, Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. Welcome, ma'am. Then we have a Miss Verena, country manager at German Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Stuttgart region. Welcome. Now, I'll move ahead with some of the questions which basically we all are waiting to hear from both of them. The first question comes to you, Dr. Renu, that in 2024, if you see, India and European Union marked around 20 years of their strategic partnership. And if we look back, how would you assess this trajectory of this relationship so far, and which milestone or shift stands out for you, which is most significant?
Yeah, good morning everyone. So thank you Dr. Arun Singh for having such a wonderful introduction to two of us. And I would like to thank FECC and Ms. Priyamji for organizing this such a wonderful conference. And we are enjoying very sunny day here in Mumbai, which is totally different from Delhi environment. So I'm so happy to be here in a sunny, and it's very windy outside. So I like the environment here. And I'm honored to be co-panelist with Ms. Zimmer from German Commerce of Chamber and Industry. So coming to the question, I will not go into the history. This is not a history class, but when it comes to the relationship between the two actors, and especially India and the European Union, it's an obvious thing to talk about how it started and what were the major milestones and where they are today because of that. So the relationship started in the diplomatic format in 1962, which later came into the form of cooperation agreement signed in 1994, when European community emerged as a more powerful actor after the transforming into a European Union. With that, later in 2000, in Lisbon, the first India-EU summit took place, which has taken the relationship forward into the form of strategic partnership in 2004 during the 5th India-EU Summit. Since then, there is no looking back, and the relationship has experienced a positive momentum despite having so many challenges in the international platform. Then in 2017, during 14th India-EU Summit in New Delhi, there was a landmark visit by the then European Council President, European Commission President, and the EU High Representative. And the visit was crucial because the leaders agreed to restart discussion on trade and investment agreement. During the 15th India-EU Summit in July 2020, the two leaders adopted a roadmap to 2025, which strengthened their cooperation in trade, security, and technology. On 8th May 2021, the India and EU Indian leaders agreed to resume negotiations to a balanced, ambitious, comprehensive, and mutual beneficial trade agreement, followed by the formation of the India-EU Trade and Technology Council in April 2022, the second of its kind for India, for the EU after the one with the US. So in February 2025, as we all know, there was a landmark visit, historic visit by the European Commissioner President von der Leyen with the EU College of Commissioners. The visit was historic because it was the first of its kind outside the Europe. The leaders jointly agreed to accelerate the pace of negotiations, and more recently in 2026 we have all experienced the on our Republic Day celebration, they were the guest, von der Leyen, and there was a discussion on the mother of all days, signing the free trade agreement between India and the Europe. And this is a transformative chapter in India-EU relations with more emphasis on the cooperation on mobility, India-EU for FTA, the signing of security and defense partnership and connectivity.
Thanks, Dr. Renu, for the historical perspective. I think that was really good to know. I was not aware of most of this development. I think that's great. And I'll come back to you more of a forward-looking now, especially in other areas. But let's move all over India to Maharashtra and specifically to the city. And I'll just basically talk about. You've all heard about Miss Verena is basically based out of Stuttgart, and it's one of the 6 largest city in Germany. And they have a partnership with Maharashtra, especially in Mumbai. So, coming to you, Ms. Verena, how do you see that sub-national partnership like these contribute to strengthening broader EU-India relation, and what concrete policy or business outcomes have you seen emerge from here?
Good morning from my side as well. Thank you so much for the question, Dr. Singh. And also, Renu, thank you so much for elaborating on what we've been seeing in the past when it comes to India. And also a big thank you to the audience for showing up today on this really important and timely topic that we're talking about. It was really important to me to first start off this big talk about setting global agenda on actually highlighting how much it has already done within different parts of the European Union, different states, different cities. So that was very important to me to highlight a partnership that Stuttgart and Mumbai actually have. So we've been partner cities in 1968. That is a really long time. I want to say Renew has established how long the European EU partnership with India has been going on. But India has been on the minds of the Europeans for quite some time. Maharashtra and Baden-Württemberg, southern western states, home to Mercedes, Bosch, Kirche, Stihl, a lot of these so-called hidden champions who are industry leaders in their field, but sometimes not very well known, but really put himself at the front of the industries, are home to southern Germany and are home in Baden-Württemberg. So what we're seeing when it comes to the different partnerships that different cities, states, organizations have within Germany, within the European Union, to India, we see a close and long-standing collaboration. We also see a fast-paced move towards closer collaboration as well. And as been somebody who's involved in trade promotion, it has been incredibly fascinating to observe the different the different kinds of movements we see when it comes to fostering closer EU-Indian relationships. A flagship program of this has actually just happened a couple of weeks ago. It's the Stuttgart meets Mumbai format, hosted by the Honorary Consulate of LAP. He's based in Stuttgart with LAP Cable. And we had 1,300 people attending the event actually. Yesterday, we attended an event hosted by the state of Hamburg to honor the close partnership with Mumbai. What I'm trying to say here is, yes, there's a lot of partnership happening on a really high EU-India level, but there's also an even arguably more important relationship happening from people to people, organization to organization, city to city, and business to business.
So thank you, and in fact, I'm looking forward for that continued partnership, especially based out of Mumbai, and we are looking forward, and we want to make a big impact. Let's see how this shapes up. Now, moving to you, Dr. Renu, and I know you've been working on the green transition and mobility for quite some time. How do you see that this partnership, what we talking about, evolving in the future-oriented areas like talent, mobility, skill cooperation, and the green energy transitions, where we see that the joint action required, untapped opportunities, lot of things we can see. So what is your viewpoint on that?
So when it comes to mobility, there is a strong cooperation happening between the two. Not between the two, I would say. The mobility has become one of the strategic, tool, and I would say the best area of cooperation among any two actors at bilateral level, multilateral level, and more than that. So when we speak about India-EU mobility, it has become a strategic tool for growth. India's young expanding workforce and Europe's aging population and labor shortage in various sectors creates strong demand. There are 4 mobility pathways identified when I was attending the India-EU forum recently in Delhi from 6th to 7th February. So there were talk about the 4 mobility pathways, which is students, newly trained graduates, already employed professionals, and company-led models firm to firm collaboration seen as the most sustainable. To facilitate safe, legal, and orderly migration and to address the challenges, the two sides are, coming out within the EU-India migration corridor, which is very crucial. And the two sides signed the common agenda on migration and mobility. It has already done 2 phases. Phase 1 from 2017 to 2023, and phase 2 happened from 2023 October last year in 2025 November. So it is a cooperation which has came with the 2 key outcomes: strengthening legal migration pathways along with EU-India corridor and reinforcing institutional capacity, improving awareness of irregular migration and its risks. Priorities include better mapping of European labour demand, smoother visa and Schengen process, more direct connectivity, and a mobility-ready ecosystem in India combining skills, language, and certification. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Renu. That was very quick and very sharp answer. Thanks for that, and I'm looking forward for that. Now, let me turn to the different things, and maybe, thinking from a Germany perspective, what Germans are thinking. In fact, India is the largest partner with the Germany. What do you think that going forward or currently, what German companies are facing in terms of obstacles in entering in India, or any issues or any suggestion you have to improve on? Thank you.
Dr. Singh, okay, the microphone is working, brilliant. Dr. Singh, thank you so much for this question. As someone who's involved in trade promotion, that is the loveliest question I could personally get. And I've been working it for a couple of years now on the concerns of German companies have trading with India, Germany as the powerhouse of the European Union. So the companies I talk to a lot are in the machinery and automotive sector. And when it comes to India, many of them have tried to do business in the past, are doing business with India, but the promising EU-India free trade agreement is now putting India on the radar of every single Mittelstand company, SMEs, full stop. But then, what are the challenges? So there's a lot of promise that we can get from the EU-India free trade agreement. One of the largest concerns that has been cited in a recent survey by the German Chamber of Commerce Abroad, my colleagues who are based in Mumbai, together with a consultancy company, has been bureaucracy. Indian bureaucracy, coupled with also corruption. I also have to say, in contrast to other markets, the Indian market is particularly difficult. Yes, the free trade agreement has the promise to change much of this, yet I think there's going to be a lot of challenges ahead of us when we think about bridging this gap to closer trade. I've read the number in 2032, we expect European exports to double to India. So these challenges have to be addressed. They have to be mitigated as we move forward, as it's so promising. So obviously, EU-India Free Trade Agreement offers a promising package of slashing tariffs on automotive exports to India from sometimes 110% to only 10%. When it comes to agricultural products, machinery, there is this big promise. But yet, there are certain hurdles. I'm thinking BSS, Bureau of Indian Standard Certification, that German companies have to get acquainted with, certification. But I also want to name cultural differences in terms of speed, the ways of running, the ways of doing business, deals is very different. And the EU will have to get a better understanding of India. But I also want to say that India probably has to get a better understanding of the European Union and what European partners need in order to do business. And I look very much forward to setting the global agenda on that.
Thank you. I think last 10, 15 years, if you see, the significant changes been done. And I think this government has brought in a lot of changes. We've eliminated one day more than 1900 policies, which was redundant, old 50. So that's a lot of changes this government is bringing in, and speed. Today, if you see that this government is having an AI summit, we never thought of. And this AI summit is literally forward-looking. I'm not talking about next 1 year or 2 years. We're talking about next century. So I think we are evolving very fast, rapidly in terms of the government. I think one thing I would talk about the payment gateway is a leader. I think India is a leader in that sense. I think we need to learn from that piece. A lot of things are evolving, and to agree that a lot of things are basically pending to be executed. We are moving forward. Thanks for bringing it forward, and we'll certainly look how we can resolve and move ahead. A lot of development happened, but there are certain things we need to figure it out. Now, coming to specific to the deal, Dr. Renu, we all have seen that we call this India-EU partnerships mother of all deal. That's rightly addressed because 1/5 of the global GDP, 1/5 of the trade, 1/4 of global population. And if they decide to move, certainly they're going to change the global order. Keeping that in the mind, from India's perspective, where do you see the most significant gains emerging in terms of sectors, capabilities, or long-term partnerships?
It's a very good question, and there are so much to talk about it. But considering the time slot, we have to be very specific. So clearly we are in an era of multipolarity and strategic autonomy. There is a big shift from non-alignment to multi-alignment, multi-vector engagements. India is working closely with Europe and its individual countries on energy security, technology, connectivity and security in the Indo-Pacific, and also acting as a bridge to the global south on issues like energy security, trade, digital access, food, fuel, and etc. India and Europe are not just partners, as our External Affairs Minister said. Quote, India and Europe are two important poles of a changing world with common interests and shared values as political democracies and market economies, unquote. To fulfill the common agenda in clean energy transition and Paris Agreement, both are committed seriously and there is a positive outcome happening in terms of establishing infrastructure, supply chain, crude routes, security. And currently both are having their expansion in the field of emerging green hydrogen partnership, which is crucial for both the countries to fulfill their Paris Agreement and also for the 2030 agenda and 2045 non-net zero for EU and 2017 and net zero for India. So the partnership emerging at a very extensive level. It is happening under the umbrella of CECP, Clean Energy and Climate Partnership between India and EU. So both are also having their national hydrogen strategy, which is also coming out as a key role further moving forward this relationship to the next level in the clean energy transition. And to fulfill the common agenda on this clean energy transition, both are committed seriously. And there is a more focus on migration mobility, as Ms. Simmer has pointed out. There is a lot need to work upon in terms of the illegal migration, skilled worker, vocational training because the standards are very different when we look at EU and when we look at India. So there is always two ways where you are standing that matters a lot. So geography, the location matters a lot. When I'm sitting here, I can see the audience. I can see the background being here sitting. But you people can see the background. So there is always a two perspective to look at the things. So how we see the mobility partnership, how Germany and EU as a whole and with its individual member states, they see the mobility partnership with India. But definitely there is a lot need to work upon. And in terms of clean energy partnership, green hydrogen partnership, there is also so many hurdles to overcome. For example, the infrastructure needs to be worked upon. For that, the EU has already funded 300 billion euros to enhance the infrastructure in Gujarat and in Odisha. So they are also having the ports, hubs to export green hydrogen in the form of ammonia to the European countries and the EU. And another thing, they are also working on the technological part and also R&D, research and development, by exchanging seminars, conferences, another kind of meetings. So there are so much lot happening at the leaders level, then there are companies level. So it's a circle, who are discussing so much about the coming future fuel, which is non-carbon emission, and it is a fuel of future and has great importance for all the actors in the world. So it is globally very high in demand, and that's how we are doing. And India has also surpassed Germany in its solar energy capacity. That is wonderful. Now we are the third largest solar installed capacity country after US and China. And I hope so we will do great more in our solar energy, renewable energy, which is also crucial for the green hydrogen making up and export from our route. And if I see here, connectivity plays a big role. When we talk about IMEC, India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. So that is a connectivity which gives us the routes, safer routes in terms of energy security, and it also connects Middle East, India and Europe, and it saves time, energy, and it is also feasible. It removes the hurdles when it comes to rerouting from the Suez Canal and the Red Sea. So it also avoids all these, conflict points. That is all.
Thank you, and I agree with you, Dr. Eri, in the solar part. And when we go to the rural town, I think most of you might have seen there's a massive solar panel. Every household got that one. In fact, that's the way of electricity now in the rural part. And they are basically, you go to any part, any relatives, anything, they are just talking about that piece, not a conventional energy, solar and all that. In fact, India has done wonderful in the renewable space. That needs to be done because every time when I talk about the board meeting, when basically part of the board meeting, they are basically, none of the meeting is complete about the green discussion. So we are discussing about the green in the meeting. That's really great. And most part, I think we are doing what we call a sustainability perception index, wherein we reach out to small companies, MSMEs, every quarter and ask them what about their green plan. You can't believe that last 3 years we are doing, every quarter, this index is just going up. Look at the perception and awareness about green in the India, which is great. So I agree with you. Now, in the same context, coming to you, Reena, that from EU perspective, which concrete opportunity does this agreement create, especially in areas such as supply chain resilience, strategic industries, and market diversification? Your viewpoint.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Renu, when you said India has overtaken Germany in terms of solar panel distribution, India is also going to overtake the German economy by the end of the decade. So, yeah. No, it's always a pleasure listening to Dr. Renu and her thoughts, particularly mobility on climate. I'm glad we touched on climate. I want to add something to this we haven't touched upon, democracy. From a EU point of view, we are very keen to work more closely with the largest democracy of the world, 1.4 billion people. Furthermore, currently our trade and supply chains are very dependent on various actors, notably China. As we are shifting, as trade dynamics are shifting, and here I'm going to add, on a personal note, it has been absolutely fascinating to me to observe India and how India is repositioning itself in the world. So, to add to this, I think India is playing a crucial role in redesigning, reshaping supply chains, logistic chains, and general trade. We have yet to see, first of all, if the free trade agreement materializes, but second of all, how that then is going to impact. But it has the potential to crucially shift our current dynamics. And I think I want to keep it on these two things. Democracy, and has the potential to completely alter the way we trade, the way we do business, and also people-to-people relationships as we work closer together.
So thank you. I know we are approaching towards last leg. Is there any questions from the audience? Anyone want to ask any of the panelists before I move to the last session or concluding remark? Anything anyone want to ask? Any suggestion, any comment, any feedback? Good, nothing. I think everything is clear. Thank you. The last question to you, Shpirina. Oh, there are one question. Okay.
Thank you so much for this wonderful panel, and it's very insightful. Dr. Renu, maybe to you, we were talking a lot about Europe and India, but how does the conflict that is going on in Europe, I'm talking about the Ukrainian and Russian conflict, which we Europeans consider European conflict, how does it play out in India, and what role does it play here? How do you look at it? What's your perspective on this? Because you're an expert on Ukraine. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question. So, when I look at Russia-Ukraine conflict from here, I see different histories. India and Europe has experienced different histories, and there are different geographies. And India is always a initiator of peace. We believe in peace, and that's how our government is, promoting peace. And the best examples of this, I would say, the visit of Prime Minister Modi to Poland after 45 years. So we believe in peace, and after that he visited Russia, and after 2 weeks he was in Ukraine. So India is I think not only, I would say, India is the country which can initiate, which has the capability to initiate dialogue with both the actors, Russia vis-a-vis Ukraine and EU also, around the world. So India has we believe you heard the term Vasudev Kutumbakam, one earth, one family. So we see everyone, a good partner as a good partner, and checks and balances are crucial in the international arena, and that's how India is doing, predicting this, displaying his, its peace initiatives by having the dialogues with all the countries around the world.
I just have one question, and that is multipolarity, which is inevitable. It's going to happen, and it is happening as we speak. Multipolarity without multilateralism is a great challenge for the world. And we know that our European partners, as much as in India, we believe in multilateral institutes. Are there any tangible, things in works for strengthening our existing multilateralism while people are making board of peace? We are not giving much attention to multilateral institute, which we all agreed to, right? So we look forward to more of an European engagement on strengthening the multilateralism because it's a shared value. If our European colleague can give some comments on strengthening multilateralism and how India can partner and do more on that side. Thank you.
As a trained political scientist, I love this question. It's beyond my day-to-day work, I want to say. Yet, it makes me think of what we saw at the Munich Security Conference, where two foreign ministers, the German foreign minister and the Indian foreign minister, discussed a quite similar topic and how to move forward in a polarized world. And I think some of the key takeaways is, first of all, we are moving together and we are strengthening this partnership that we can then use to strengthen existing institutions, thinking about all kinds of settings that we have in the multilateral organizations. So I feel quite hopeful for our path forward. Something that stood out to me was when Waterfall, Germany's foreign minister, said before, until recently, India hasn't been too much on the map of Germany. So I'm really glad this is changing. We had the visit of Merz, we're having Macron currently in India. So it's changing, and I'm very hopeful that this is a key aspect that is going to guide the EU-Indian partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I think we are trying to wrap up now. So there's one last question, you can take it. I think we are almost up the time.
Thank you. A fascinating speech and talk, very insightful. I suppose it follows on from a couple of the comments that have already been made, right? Because the world is shifting east, and for us, so NPH is the representative body in the north of England. And what we're seeing are opportunities to develop bilateral trade. The bilateral trade, I mean, ultimately, people do business with people. And how might we adopt, because we've got some wonderful people here, how might we adopt and adapt some of the cultural relationships, that historically were influenced here one way? What are the principles to do so the other way, and utilize organizations like NPH that are established, that are multicultural as well? So how might we influence better trade through people is the question.
Talk about
I think all of us would be fit to take this question or take this comment. I think you're raising a really important point here, that there is a lot of benefit in knowing our history. And as somebody who's lived in the UK as well, I think you're raising a really important point here. I think I want to keep it at that. I think it's really relevant, and it's going to shape it, and it's going to benefit moving forward.
Oh,
in terms of cultural, I would say there are differences. And when I talk about culture, I see 2-3 things very crucial in terms of the strategic partnership between the two. People to people connect. That's how we connected through one conference last year. And language is a big barrier. When we say, "Oh, I'm flying to Germany. I got 9 months visa. I'm going there." We are so much excited, but there is a cultural difference, and here I would like to emphasize on the language part. To know the language, and any one of us is going to anywhere, even the visit from your side to India. I have seen these people works a lot on the cultural part. When they visit India, they know what is there, what is famous, and from our part, I think it is lacking. I would like to give an example. Recently, I got to know there was a guy who got a work visa in Germany, and he called his friend, "Oh, I'm coming to Germany. I got a visa." He was so excited. Then the friend said, suggested him to learn the language, and he ignored it. Oh, but why would I learn language? How should I can work with English language skills? But when he landed up there, he hardly found any job. So after 9 months, when he came back to his home country, what he had nothing. Only he wasted his time. So I would say, whosoever is planning to go to Germany especially, so language skills are very must.
No, I think, in the world of technology, where just talking about before the panel discussion, we're talking about the AI. Just I think we need to explore the possibility and the potential of AI today for anything we talk about. I remember in our own company, one of my person who representative staying in the London, leading the Taiwan business, and just understand the language very, but they are using the AI to basically get it instant, what do you call transformation, and they can basically communicate. What we are using just 17% of the AI power on the planet. So you can see that 83% is absolutely unused and unutilized. So maybe we can transition to that part. Now moving to the last part, and I know it's the last question, keeping the mind, Dr. Virena, you attended multiple things, World Economic Forum, the Munich Security Conference, and other things, multilateral agency institutes. So what general, maybe there's expectation from the EU partner from India, what basically in the sense how India and EU work together to strengthen this.
I think as these are heading towards concluding remarks, in UDU, in Europe, India finds a very strong and also trustworthy partner. India as well. India is strong, trustworthy, but operates a bit different. As Dr. Anu has pointed out, I think you also have to, from an Indian side, there also has to be an understanding that that Europe has different countries, differences. I think that's something India understands quite well itself, considering how different the north, south, east, as cities are, as different states are. So keeping in mind this, yes, there is such a thing as the EU, and it is shaping global trade and the global agenda. But also, as Dr. Anu said, thinking about the different countries in Europe and trying to really see the differences. I think that is the one thing I want to keep the Indian audience in mind as we are building together between EU and India a closer partnership.
Thank you. Dr. Renu, your concluding remark?
So in my concluding remark, I would say under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi and President von der Leyen from the European side, the two actors have witnessed a very positive momentum in their relationship. So number one, I would say there is a major breakthrough in the economic ties, mother of all deals, and the Trade and Technology Council formed in 2022. The aim of that is basically it reduce dependency on one actor from both the sides. So that is very, very crucial for the further momentum in the relationship. Number two, there is a heavily investment in resilient supply chain, high quality connectivity, and trusted technology. Number three, there is a strengthening approach towards the mobility framework. And last but not the least, there is a strong commitment to green hydrogen partnership and the acceleration in the security in the Indo-Pacific in the field of maritime domain, cyber and counter-terrorism, securing trade routes through joint naval exercises. The best example of those I can give when there was a visit of high levels from the EU in 2017, then the first operational naval Atlanta operational took place in June 2021, and after the von der Leyen visit in February 2025, there was the second Atlanta operation took place in June 2025. So yes, we are moving ahead in the realm of security, which is very, very much, in demand because China is everywhere. So we need to, reduce the footprint of China in terms of security in the Indo-Pacific and Indian Ocean. Thank you.
So thank you, Dr. Renu, and that was deliberate attempt to have Dr. Renu representing India perspective and Verena representing EU perspective on the subject. I think we had both perspective, and to conclude, I would say that, as an economist, a few years back, we all thought about the world's moving towards the deglobalization. They're basically looking for the near, they're just the domestic market. And last couple of years, of course, with the tariff issues, we had, of course, geopolitical concerns, multiple things. This deal is basically not just the, two market, two region, basically. It's 1/5 of the global, everything we talk about, and that's going to change the global order. Now, when we talk about deglobalization, actually it is happening more globalization piece because we're talking 1/5 of the global GDP is completely going to be trading freely. Of course, there will be just few restrictions. But that is going to shape the global order. That's from the economic perspective. And I do feel that there's a lot more opportunities to work together. There are certain open items, and in the next 6 months going to be closed. And we are going to see the massive trade flow from these two deals. So thank you for joining, and I'm looking forward for different sessions. So thanks. Thank you both for joining.
Thank you and namaste.
Thank you so much, panelists.
Thank you.